Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it
We're
live.
doing it live.
We're doing it live. Fuck it. So tonight on Stumbling Down History Road, we're going to be covering arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, comedic writer director of all time,
I mean,
Mel Brooks.
you could pretty much say entertainer after a certain point because
Yeah, he's an all-around entertainer.
Yeah.
I think
Melvin
that's fair.
Kaminsky.
Melvin Kaminsky, which smartly enough, similar to his famous movie Robin Hood Men in Tights, it was a good
Tights.
change. It was a
It's
good
a good
change.
change. It's a
Good
good
change.
change.
So let's not fucking play around. But Melvin Kaminsky sounds like somebody who would probably blow up a building.
The Unabomber? Really? We're going to make a Unabomber reference?
Well, what the fuck? It sounds like it. So
To quote Robin Hood Men in Tights, Figalas?
just Mary.
No, just Mary.
so
I can't swim. Oh, I'm going to drown. I can't swim. Ah.
I'm on the East Bank. I'm on the West Bank. I'm on the East Bank.
So he
So,
has had a couple fantastic hits and has been in many, many, many more things in one way or another than anybody will ever be able to like replicate. He has been in the business for over 7 decades. He was
so-
born in 1926. He's still alive, still actively working. In
Just
as
did
as of the day of our recording this, still like actively working, still alive.
Just dropped the History of the World Part 2.
History of the World
Hopefully
Part
nothing
Two, yeah.
happens.
Crazy.
So he is working at 97, so I don't want to hear anybody making a reference about how past 70 people don't provide any value.
Or I don't want to hear any of these young kids saying that they can't work for whatever fucking
I'm
bullshit
just saying
reason.
it. Over 75 into the furnace.
But they're tired. They only got 10 hours worth of sleep, Garrett.
I just on 2 hours of slam. Yeah, so as stated, he was born Melvin Kaminsky.
In Brooklyn, New York.
In Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Shout out New York. New York gang.
Which is, just for you guys paying attention or haven't been paying attention, this is where we are shooting our episodes in
Not Brooklyn, but still
still
New York.
His
So
father
counts.
died at a young age. He was 2.
That is a young age.
That is
That is a young age. I will
Let's
point that
clarify.
out.
to
Let's
die.
clarify. His father wasn't 2 when he died because then
That would
we
be weird.
wouldn't have any Mel Brooks. So when
Melvin
his-
Kaminsky's.
Wait.
Melvin
He could have
Kaminsky.
had the.
Oh, the in vitro.
No. The. What's that Brad Pitt movie? Where
Benjamin Button case.
Yes, the Benjamin Button
yeah.
disease.
You got that Benjamin Button.
Button disease.
Yeah, so his father died. He was only 2 years old. He actually adapted his name, first name Melvin, so he shortened that to Mel. His mother's maiden name was Brookman, and just as a lot of
very
the
Jewish sounding.
Jews did back then, they kind of took off the part that made them sound more Jewish, and they kind of left the rest of it.
There was this thing going on in like the 40s that people might have heard of that it wasn't exactly great timing for him. Same thing with the 30s.
So that being said, he turned himself into how we know him as Mel Brooks, and just reading up on him, he had a pretty fucking shitty childhood. His father passed away. He was bullied profusely as a kid. He's one of those stories where his mom was widowed, and she raised him and him and his siblings, and they fucking made it work, and he grew up and made right.
Well, he also not just involving that in terms of like tragedy and stuff. He has outlived a lot of his friends and cast members that have worked for him, that loved him. I mean, 97 is a long time, and he used to be one of the people that like
Holy shit! Is it 90? I could have sworn
Yeah.
it was 93.
He's like 96 or 97.
97.
Holy shit! My math
But-
was off.
Yeah, it was.
Hey,
But,
at least it was a few years, not a bunch of years.
I mean, it D's the feds. 93,
Oh, yeah.
96, 97. What's the fuck? He's old as shit, and he's still
Once you get
fucking
up there,
kicking.
people stop caring.
Oh yeah, Jackson, Garrett, D, because we didn't introduce
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't introduce
Yeah,
it. That's
fuck it, we'll do it live.
We'll do it
Okay,
live.
We'll do it live.
But I mean, like I said, he would have like this great relationship with a lot of the people that he worked with for a lot of the movies. He would continually reuse actors and musicians. He was with his wife for fucking 41 years before she passed.
For second wife.
Yes, the second wife, but I mean,
Yeah,
still.
you kind of give him a pass on the first wife if he
That was
stays
only
with his
9 years.
Interesting enough, though, his first wife he had 3 kids with. His second wife he only had the one, Max.
You know why? Because he fucking got older and smarter. He's like, yo, I can't fucking have more kids, man. I fucking don't want to put up with these fucking 3 idiots.
Also, he's
4 idiots.
Dom DeLuise's son's godfather.
Yes.
And his son Max wrote World War Z.
Didn't I tell you that last week?
No.
And if you did, I don't fucking pay attention to anything you say. Jackson and I like to say this thing, and it goes a little something like, I'm not, what do we say? I can't hear you over the sound of me not caring.
I can't hear you over the sound of me not giving a fuck.
Yes.
He was one of the first actors.
But I think you did say that last week.
He was one of the first actors on TV.
Point for D.
On TV, period. He started in 1950 with Your Show of Shows.
Yes.
That
And
had some little-known people like Woody Allen or Larry
Notorious
Gilbert.
creep.
Yeah, still, little-known person.
He
you
wasn't
know.
a creep then, allegedly.
He might have, allegedly. I mean, he worked with Carl Reiner. He did his own show, The 2,000-Year-Old Man, and then he started getting into comedy albums, and he started getting into working with movies and things like that. He was
All over the
huge
place.
from the late 60s to the late 70s. You couldn't escape one of his comedy movies. I mean, they were probably the most prolific movies of their time. Not that, he hasn't had other things. He's done Broadway. He's done music. He's done acting on TV. He's done movies. Like I said, I mean, he is one of 18 EGOTs.
No, what is an EGOT?
That would be a Emmy, a Golden Globe, an Oscar, and a Tony.
Hey, Tony.
All of which are, very notorious
He doesn't
awards.
have a Pulitzer, though.
He does not have a Pulitzer. So he does not have a PGOT, but still impressive. But
Now, is the one with the Nobel Prize? MGOT?
NGOT,
And
Nugget?
okay.
Nugget?
Moist Nugget, the rifle.
Yeah, fuck it. We'll do it live.
Hey, call back to guns.
Fucking it.
But
Buddy.
so I don't want to beat around the bush with things that we kind of read up on. Let's talk about the things that we know. His movies. Because I don't know if you were raised on a lot of his movies, but I know that me and my brother were.
We were raised on the tamer ones at first.
Yes, so that's the thing.
tamer
A lot
ones.
of when I was younger, a lot of his movies were
A little
They-
raunchy.
They
There's
still are
levels.
because they still carry over. They're still very race driven.
The joke is they couldn't be made today.
Oh, 100%.
Even though he literally just made
100%.
something today.
Yeah, but I can guarantee you that it's not in the same vein as
So-
some of the stuff that he used to do.
So shout out to not sponsoring us, Hulu. They just released the History of the World Part 2 after 40 years. Over 40 years. It was 42 42 years.
I mean, they had to make more history in the meantime.
True.
He's got a point. It was 42 years of just nothing on this. For shout out, there is spoiler alert, there is a History of the World Part 1. We'll get to that. But they waited 42 years to make this freaking thing. And as it turns out, I watched a little bit of episode 1 because it's now episodic. I don't know if you guys have seen any of it.
I haven't gotten
I haven't
around
seen
to
it
it.
yet.
It's a
You should have half-filled and put a little bit of the hash in the middle.
you could tell that it was made today, and he let a lot of the influences of pop culture get involved, which
Oh yeah, because he's got to play to today's audience. Because
I mean more so
It's-
I can
'cause
tell
he's-
that things are going to be not to spoil one or two, but they're doing a Civil War bit, and he's got a talk show TV producer from Fox or something, an ESPN shout out type thing, and it's just really. because it's got the whole banner thing and everything going on.
I see what you're on. They're
Whereas-
calling like Fox News the Confederacy.
Well, no, not like Fox News
No,
the
I think
Confederacy,
he's
but
just
like
saying how
it's got one of the like the ESPN
running,
yeah.
the running ticker on the bottom.
Yeah.
That like there's like the news flash, like President John F. Kennedy, you know,
Okay.
blah 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 blah, like, and it just
Yeah.
runs continuously across the
Okay,
bottom
that's
of
a
the
little
screen.
silly.
Whereas with History of the World Part 1, again, spoilers, it was, still jokes of the era. He wasn't trying to call in things from the future to make it funny for that time period.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it seems like it might be a little bit more forced in that sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
And then if you think like, it's kind of sad because he has to a little bit bastardize it because.
Again, it's now of this time.
Well, think about it. First of all,
He has to
it's on
appear
Hulu.
to he has to appease corporate sponsors because, again, still not sponsored. Disney owns Hulu.
oh, that's right.
So
Don't
now
they not completely
also
own Hulu?
the big part of it is too.
Gross.
You got to also take into consideration like
Unless you want to pay us, Disney, then you're not gross.
Then you also got to take into consideration that he's trying to attract a new target audience. So he's not gonna.
I don't think he needs to.
But he does though because the people that because
You're around, I'm around. Like there's
but
still
but if
there's
we
still
went,
millions of people
but
that know
only
his.
caps.
but if we went and
He's
asked the
gotta
kid,
draw-
does the kid know his movies?
Yeah, he's got to draw in the new kids to get the new money because it's not.
I don't think that he
didn't-
needed to go in that
But
route. I think it would have.
I don't think he puts out History of the World Part 2 thinking like, oh, I got to appease all my hardcore old time fans because most of them are going to find it fucking obnoxious, forced bullshit.
Well,
Like Ralph, shout out to this guy. He works for us.
He was
He's-
on. He was on the rock music.
He was
one.
on the rock music.
Shout out
episode.
to the rock music episode.
So he's a long time. He's a big Mel Brooks guy. He grew up watching that stuff in the eras of those things coming out, and he said he's like a lot of it was meh. There was a couple of it that wasn't meh, but a lot of it was meh, and that's somebody who is an old school type Mel Brooks fan saying that. So a lot of those other old school Mel Brooks fans are probably going to say the same thing. And you, I'm saying you just pointing in your direction. You, who's
No,
I was trying to get you to pay attention to that for a second.
it might have already burnt out.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that I think that the formula that he used to roll with for, let's again mention a couple, we'll get into them more, like Blazing Saddles and The Producers and the original History of the World Part 1 and Young Frankenstein or Spaceballs or Robin Hood Men in Tights. I think that still using like
but
his known style would have worked. I don't think it needed to be updated with like a Fox ticker for the Civil War, having an actual microphone. I don't think it needed that.
it probably 100% didn't need that.
But all right,
It's still going, I think. But whatever.
but that's his new stuff. Let's
Or
talk
not.
about the history of him, Part 1.
All right, so the
The history of Mel Brooks movies, Part 1.
all right, so
I think his first
My
film was
first
The Producers.
introduction- sorry to cut you off. What were you gonna say?
I said, I think his first major film was The Producers, right?
The first major film, yes.
Like,
So-
he wrote and directed, I think,
Yeah,
as compared to
And-
stuff he was starring in or
I think
writing.
he had a role in the producers. No,
Well, he puts
Usually-
himself in every movie.
he usually
Yeah, he-
injects himself into everything.
Whether it be a cameo or in
Major
terms,
character.
in terms of like History of the World Part 1, where he has like full-on major roles and stars in it. Yeah, it's just a matter of like which one he is. That said, he's, like I said, been doing things for ever, effectively. I mean,
that's not saying though that when he inserts himself, he isn't good in what he's doing. He himself is a funny guy.
yeah,
Like, he can do his own comedic, like, you know. Oh yeah, boopity boop.
but yeah, he was one of the major guys for The Producers. He was in The Critic as the narrator, because he does voiceover work too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's everywhere. He's like American Express, everywhere you want to be.
One of the original potential names for The Producers was Springtime for Hitler, just Springtime for Hitler.
Yeah, that wouldn't have flown.
And they
No,
also
that
wanted,
would not have flown.
they also were like, Yeah. Instead of Hitler, can we have Mussolini?
So
That-
my first
So call it
introduction
Springtime
to
for Hitler, but have the whole movie about Mussolini.
Well,
That
no.
Honestly, if they'd done that, that would have been itself funny as hell too.
No. That they just wanted to change up the whole thing from Hitler to Mussolini and
springtime
not have
in-
Springtime for Hitler as the title. Or
Springtime for Mussolini in
That doesn't
Italy.
carry as well.
That wouldn't have gone.
No, that wouldn't have carried as well.
Definitely.
Springtime for Hitler. Springtime for Hitler. A gay romp through the Deutschland with Ava.
Oh Jesus!
However, whatever the full name of the actual musical is in movie.
But I mean, he was a writer for TV shows before even this. But yeah, that was probably his first like major break in movies.
It's also
was
I think the only one that got remade
Yes,
in 2005 with
2005 with Brandon Fraser and
Was it Brandon Fraser?
no, sorry, not Brandon Fraser.
The guy from Godzilla '98. Fuck, he married the horse, Sarah Jessica Parker. She's a horse. We all know that. Fuck, what is his name? God,
Garrett, help us out.
Sarah Jessica. I don't know who she's married to.
what?
I can look it up. You don't fucking know either. That's why you're asking me.
God damn it!
All right.
All right, so while we're looking that up, to fill some space, my earliest introduction to Mel Brooks was going to my neighbor's house. I was probably maybe 11 or 12, and we watched Blazing Saddles.
So this has just come out then.
It might have. Yeah, it probably did just come out then.
Blazing Saddles came out in '74.
No, yeah. So
Matthew
I wasn't even
Broderick.
born.
Jesus H. Christ.
Oh, Matthew Broderick was the.
And Will
It was in the
Ferrell.
second. It was in the second producers.
It was
was
in
in
the
the-
remake, yeah.
Yeah, he was in the
It was
remake.
Will Ferrell.
It wasn't Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
Who's
no,
the other
Will
guy?
Ferrell. Will
Was it?
Ferrell's in it. Yeah, it's
In what? In the
Nathan
producers?
Lane,
The
Matthew
remake,
Broderick.
No,
Yeah, Will Ferrell
Will
plays the
Ferrell?
Nazi.
Oh shit, he does.
Yeah, he plays the Nazi.
Yeah.
I think we found our Nazi.
Illinois Nazis.
I fucking hate Illinois Nazis.
Shout out to a different movie that we'll eventually cover.
Yeah, we'll have to eventually get around to covering the Blues Brothers and stuff. Well, that would probably be
we
us.
would cover the production company that kind of
SNL?
encapsulates it all. Yeah,
Yeah, we'd have to do SNL as a whole, I think, for that.
but you were saying you were 12, Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. So, I don't know why you said it just came out. What do you
Because it
think?
was a joke. I'm calling you old.
Oh, well, fuck you.
Ah.
Not,
no, thank you.
I'm not onto it. I'm not on it right
I
now.
would think it was his first color movie was Blazing Saddles, right?
Whoa, dude, that's so fucked up.
Well, colorized. I mean, because he did black and white before that.
Why does it
With?
have to be all about color with you, man?
Or was it just?
Young Frankenstein was after.
Young
Same
Frankenstein
year,
was
but
black and white.
after.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's just doing it for style. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah, yeah.
sense.
That's like Clerks. It could have been done in color, but they just did it in black and white the first
I
time.
think they couldn't
It was
afford
done in
to
color.
make it in color.
Grayscale is a color.
The absence of color.
Did you see did you guys see the third Clerks?
I
No.
started to watch it, and I've attempted to watch it probably 40 times.
I haven't seen the second two, like the second one. And
Yeah.
I refuse to see the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
I started watching that. I haven't been able to get through
It's
So I watched the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. It was okay.
it. Yeah.
isn't it like the plot line kind of almost beat for beat like
It
Sure.
is.
first one?
Yeah, it is. They're basically like.
You're saying that it's a reboot? So Blazing Saddles.
So Blazing Saddles, yes.
Blazing Saddles.
So, Blazing Saddles, we had to freaking hide it from my parents and my friends' parents, and we were watching it because it was extremely.
It's probably his worst
Raunchiest.
in terms of like just sheer crudeness
Yes.
and raunchy.
Yes. The opening scene would have gotten shut down. Production day one, cut, done. Fucking end of show,
Funny
end of
enough-
movie, done right there. You watch the opening scene, you bring that to a fucking producer, and you're like, hey, here's my script for Blazing Saddles. He's opening it up, first fucking act, and they pulled that, and it fucking hilarious, but it is so fucking cross the borderline of racist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because wasn't even the racism that almost got the movie shut down. You know what it was? It was the fucking farting scene. I'm not. What almost actually shut the whole film down was the farting scene. In fact, they actually had to end up. And that's actually probably the most censored scene in the film too, for like regular TV.
So let's talk about Blazing Saddles a little bit. Let's just
Again?
he is
I don't have my scraper. I don't know what the fuck happened to it.
so Mel Brooks is famous for parodies, farces. He's famous for doing like spoofs of movies and of genres.
Oh yeah, pretty much every film he does is like a genre spoof.
Yeah, he is fantastic. Probably the best period in terms of that style. So long as he has like a little bit of leeway with it and can just get away with certain things and isn't overwhelmed. Because there's
hamstrung.
Well, I just mean overwhelmed in terms of like, I think that the second half of History of the World Part 1 doesn't fare itself as well as the first half.
Yeah,
When
I
he
can see that.
when he leads himself to directing, he was the only writer, and he was the main actor, the lead for the second half. I feel like he just kind of was trying to cover too much by himself. So if he has somebody to help him out with it, like for Blazing Saddles, he had Richard Pryor work with it.
Did he?
He was
really?
a writer. Yes, he was a writer for it.
That explains a lot, actually. Now that I think about
Yes,
it.
he had to buy off on it, and well, he didn't have to buy off on it, but they were like, "This is cool with you? Yeah, man, I love it. This is cool with you? Yeah, man, I love it."
All right, nobody move, or you're getting sick.
Yeah, and
Will somebody help that poor man?
so he was actually supposed to be
Horses.
he was actually supposed to be the lead, the lead, not Gene Wilder, because Gene Wilder is fantastic, but
Gene Wilder is fucking fantastic in general.
fuck, I don't remember.
Don Cheadle? No.
Don Cheadle, no, not even close.
Oh, the guy.
Don Cheadle probably wasn't even born then.
No, because I'm thinking of Don Cheadle from
We're talking about.
the guy who plays
the
the
main
sheriff.
actor in the sheriff in
Oh,
Blazing Saddles. But it was supposed to be Richard Pryor.
Cleveland Little.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay. Yep, there it is.
Cleveland Little.
Yeah. So he comes forward for that, and I think he blows it out of the water. I think he does fantastic. I mean, there's bits that my father and you can just
Still,
like
Oh
candy gram for
look
mango.
Oh boys, look what I have over here. And where are the white women at?
So hold on. Let's again go and cover what this is about. So it's about a Western theme, a Western society, right?
Yeah, it's a Western film.
It's a
yes.
Western.
It's supposed to be a Western.
Yeah.
It was of the era, like 70s spaghetti westerns were kind of cool.
I say
Yeah,
it's
like a
supposed
John
to be a
Wayne
Western
type.
because of how it ends. Though.
Yes. But you know,
So-
in Western, in olden times, there was still slavery. There was still, things that have been abolished. Things that just obviously we realize
more drugs.
bad. And he set it up so this way they would have a black sheriff, and it's this whole big thing that the sheriff is black, and
Well, okay, so you're
Our
kind of
town
like
is turning into
jumping
shit.
through the plot a little bit.
well, yes, but we have to kind of exemplify the fact that like
So the town is going to
It's-
ruins, and they're
Well,
trying
no,
to
they're
find.
trying to buy the town so they can run a rail line through it because
Yes, and
the
they
town
want to run it into shit, so that everybody
this way they
basically
can
moves out.
Yeah, they're trying to steal the land.
yes,
So in order to ruin the town, they send Levon Little's character as the sheriff to be the sheriff, and he's black, and the town is,
Well, racist.
well they're of their time.
Yeah.
yeah,
Racist.
they're white
Yes.
people in the 1800s.
Yeah. And with that,
The common clay of the land, the simple folk, morons.
if you will. But there's like this group, the guys that are trying to buy out the town so this way they can build a railroad.
Heedley
They're-
Lamar.
I'm sorry?
Heedley Lamar.
It's Headley.
What small hands.
And so it's pretty much him and his group. They try and thwart the
My
sheriff
grandmother
at
was a
all.
Dutch.
They try and thwart the sheriff at all possibilities. They hire a burlesque show woman to basically try and seduce him.
I'm sorry, her bit runs a little too long for that movie.
Oh, she's great though.
She's great, but
Madeline Kahn,
her whole intro
Madeline
song
Kahn
is
is
a little
fantastic,
too
and
long.
she does so much with Mel Brooks in so many different things. It's great. I love her.
They could have cut 30 seconds off the song.
Yeah, but I think that's part of like the whole musical thing. Like all those fucking.
He's huge into music. He is
all
huge
those-
into music scenes.
All those musicals. Fucking, there's
Yeah,
like,
he's got a Tony. Of course, he's into music.
but
But they
I
always,
mean,
there's like one act, because like one act is like fucking 7 minutes or whatever, and that whole act is one song, 7 minutes. And then
Yeah.
but that's the style of like a musical though.
yes,
And that's
it's meant to tell a story in song.
yeah.
As it would be. But, I mean, it's just... Obviously, you can tell from the fact that he has a Tony, the fact that the producers, Springtime for Hitler was a major song.
It actually became
This-
like a traveling musical show, too, for a little bit. Like
That's where he got his Tony.
Yeah.
So
The producers.
So the producers, this is how good of a fucking movie this movie slash what it was a movie that he made, produced, written, whatever, right?
You know what? This
Wrote
is
it.
the second time that we've had a...
He wrote it.
we've had
he wrote it.
our topic that actually had like a play that went on outside of their show. Shout out to our last episode with Oh It's Always Sunny, who had the nightmare.
Yeah, tonight, yeah.
So
So
toured. Yeah.
exactly. So as Dee was saying, so it became the musical that was on Broadway and toured for a while, and then it was remade as another movie with
We already
with the
referenced it,
biggest,
yeah.
like big actors of the time. And all-
This was pre-fame Will Ferrell. This was just before he got
yeah,
big.
but Matthew Broderick,
He was
big.
pretty big.
He
And
was,
so was,
kind of big,
um,
yeah.
So is his the producer guy.
Yeah.
What's his name?
It'll come back to us.
The fuck is his name?
We just
He's
looked
now-
it up.
he's
We
now
just
in,
fucking looked it up.
He's now in fucking Only Murders in the Building. You guys see that? It's fucking
No,
awesome.
I have
yeah,
not.
it's
I
good stuff right
fucking
there.
don't care enough to do.
Huh?
I don't fucking care enough to.
It's good. It's a good watch.
But
Oh no, that's Steve Martin. I'm thinking of somebody else. He's oh no, he is in that too. He's in that show. He plays a character in
but basically the whole point of Blazing Saddles is to show how like
Nathan Lane?
one of
No,
the
not
point
Nathan Lane.
one of the
Isn't it?
points of Blazing
Yes.
Saddles is to show just how dumb like racism is and how you don't have to actually follow through with it. Like
Well,
really
I
is
mean-
one of the points of it.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
the whole
it's
thing
kinda
I was
just-
referencing was he was they're so the bad guys get like a coalition of bad guys to join them, which includes Klansmen, Nazis, I think
A biker group.
Yeah, like a biker gang, and I want to say like I think they had like the Mongols too, maybe.
That is a biker group.
No, like the,
Oh, you mean like Genghis Khan Mongol?
yeah.
Okay.
It was like 3 or 4 groups. I can't remember all of them. It was a few of them.
Yeah. And they
My favorite was now everybody raised their right arms and all the
candygram for a Mongo.
but yeah,
And then he punches a horse. I love that scene.
yeah, when he fucking knocks out the horse.
Oh my god, it's so funny. So that is probably his most prolific. It was definitely one of his biggest hits, if not his biggest hits.
You think so?
In terms of monetary, yes.
Uh,
Monetarily, yes. That or Young Frankenstein were his 2 biggest
it's
hits.
Frankenstein.
Speaking of, the next movie that came out the same year, this one, as referenced, was black and white. Young Frankenstein. And that is obviously a parody of...
Frankenstein.
Yes.
A
And
horror movie. This is a horror movie genre
Oh yeah,
thing.
Nathan. It was Nathan Lane. I guess.
Yeah.
Fuck. 45 minutes later, I'm back with you guys.
Anyway.
Yeah.
He's back,
anyways,
baby.
I'm
that was
fucking
a
back.
whole parody of, like the Universal Monsters. They had to actually give... I'm going to get so much shit for this. The author.
Mary Shelley?
Yes.
Shelley.
She was still alive then?
No. They needed to give her actual credits on the writing thing because it's like
It's so
loosely
close.
loosely based
yeah.
off
Oh,
of...
because I think it was
'Cause,
just
yeah,
before
it's like a
it went
direct-
public domain or some shit, probably. Yeah.
it was
okay,
like
that makes
loosely
sense.
based off of the writing of... And
Yeah.
so it is almost a direct parody of Frankenstein.
It's weird because the fucker there, I think the Zemeckis brothers, the guys who did Airplane, they went on to do Dracula Dead and Loving It, which is also a...
No, that was Mel Brooks.
Was Dracula Dead and Loving It Mel Brooks?
Yes.
I could have fucking sworn that was the...
That was one of his biggest flops.
That's a great fucking movie, though.
That was one of his biggest flops.
I love that movie.
In fact, that
That's
was
been
his
so long.
second biggest flop.
I thought it was Zemeckis because Leslie Nielsen was in it.
Just because he was in it doesn't make it his.
This is fair. You mean theirs, but yeah, whatever.
You know what I meant.
Yeah.
But Young Frankenstein,
I
it's
don't know. Wow.
it's Igor.
It's Igor. Your hump, wasn't it? What? What are you hump? What are you talking about? The hump keeps moving around his
The
body.
mole keeps moving around too.
All
Yeah.
everywhere.
And then, no
Thank
matter
you.
what you hear, no matter what I say, don't let me out. I lied.
He brings the traveling mole back actually in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yep.
But
Another great movie.
that's a future movie. So 1974, his biggest year. He just released Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, the two best
Frau
the two best grossing in the movies, in the movie theaters, the two best grossing movies of his. Then he
you think
does
better than Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. It did better. I'm not saying they're better. What I said is that in the movie theater, in the box office, they got more money.
Interesting. That makes sense.
Then
Men in Tights was pretty all right.
No. Just no.
I
Yes.
think to me it's one of his more weaker films, Men in Tights.
I love it just because I grew up watching that one the most. It was the most approachable from the grandparents' point of view, who we spent a lot of time with as when we were growing up.
That
And it's easily
Blazing
one of,
Saddles, Producers, Spaceballs, History of the World, Part 1. That's what this is.
in terms of pure monetary, but in terms of
Blazing Saddles, 119.
I'm surprised Spaceballs wasn't because it's just simply how big Star Wars was in general.
but it was 10 years after Star Wars had come, after the first Star Wars. And it was
But they were
4
still-
years after
The second one or Return?
Return of the Jedi. It was 4 years after that. So,
okay,
a
that
lot of the
tracks.
Star Wars hype died down.
Yeah, that makes tracks.
Food Wars came out. Thumb
That was
Wars came
stupid.
out. Yeah, stupid like little fucking
You mean,
other...
wait, Food War? You mean Hardware Wars?
Yeah, you know what I meant.
Hardware Wars was fucking.
Those had come out. Those had, already kind of like made a little bit of a noise. But I would say that Robin Hood Men in Tights is probably the most approachable for kids.
Yeah, that's
So you
probably the
said
most.
which one was the highest grossing?
Blazing Saddles in the box office.
This one says Young Frankenstein.
Okay, I said Young Frankenstein was number 2.
This is Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles 3.
What's number 1?
Young Frankenstein,
What's number 2?
The Producers.
Okay, so
What?
it's still the top 3. Okay?
All right, whatever the fuck. Doesn't
Are you
matter.
sure that's not doing it by tomato meter?
No, we're box office.
Whatever.
But
Whatever. It doesn't matter. Either way, he has a bunch of amazing movies.
then things start to fall off a little bit with Silent Movie. It's a parody of silent movies.
You know, they DBZ Abridged went out of their way to make a reference to that.
Really?
Yeah.
Features Dom DeLuise,
Well,
who he does have a lot of work with.
okay, so you remember
lot of work with
when they
Dom
first
DeLuise.
introduced the androids,
Yeah.
and there's the 2 prostitutes that they assaulted at the beginning, the 2 male prostitutes. Okay, so then they introduced the first 2 androids, 19 and 20 and 19.
Yeah.
And they're in the town, and they walk up to the guys. It's like, oh, conspicuous old man and mime. When he grabs him and says, "Oh, what are you doing, Marcel, Marceau?" That's a reference to a famous mime who was in Silent Movie,
Interesting.
Myself.
and he was the only person in Silent Movie to have a spoken line in the film
Interesting.
because they asked him to be in the movie, and he goes, "No," and yeah. So they went out of their way to make a reference to a Mel Brooks movie that nobody fucking saw, apparently.
Well, I didn't say nobody saw it. What I said was it wasn't
Wasn't a good
as
one.
big of a hit.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
The Producers, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, those were like his biggest hits.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Again, in the box office, it wasn't one of the
No,
biggest.
Shut up! It was the biggest. It was one of his best ones.
It wasn't a flop, and it didn't lose him money, but it wasn't.
Let's see how
the
much it
biggest.
grossed.
I mean, it worked in Blazing Saddles.
So, again, this is all going based off of box office. After that, with like HBO and however it got screened on TV and rentals, that's all entirely different. I would 100% agree with you that Spaceballs, History of the World Part 1, Robin Hood Men in Tights, those all blew anything other than maybe Blazing Saddles out of the water. But he goes from that to High
Robin
Anxiety.
Hood Men in Tights made $72 million in the box office.
Like I said, I didn't lose him money. I'm saying that it wasn't his biggest.
I know.
Why are we arguing about this?
We're not arguing.
I
I'm
wonder if
just,
that's
I'm
adjusted
just
for
saying.
inflation.
It's not.
I said
It's
I wonder
probably
what it
not.
would be I wonder what it would be adjusted for inflation, not if it is.
Spaceballs made 38.1.
Just barely.
Blazing Saddles made 119.6.
Damn.
Yeah,
History of the World 31.7.
Meh.
just barely passed box off. Just barely
I like
passed.
how the Robin Hood movie's there for some reason.
But back to what we were talking about.
Anyway, back to the lesson at hand.
After that, we get High Anxiety, another notable hit, another notable one of his.
That was a parody of Vertigo.
That was a parody of Alfred Hitchcock, period. But the main like parody, because all of them have an overlying parody,
Yeah.
was yes,
Okay.
Vertigo. But it's got like bird references, Psycho, Vertigo as stated, the Rear Window,
I think
right? Rear Window?
Yeah,
That
Rear
was
Window
Hitchcock?
is Rear Window's Hitchcock. That one gets parodied a lot in general.
Yes. Then he takes a little break.
And I think Shia LaBeouf did kind of a remake of it.
Yes. Then he takes a little break, comes out with History of the World Part 1 in 1981, as we referenced. This is where we get yet another musical, The Inquisition.
Yes, what a show.
The Inquisition.
And Jews in Space. Where
Yes.
Jews are in space.
Great caveman scene, great Moses scene that honestly is probably one of the best, 2-minute long skits in a movie.
God has sent me down with these 10 commandments.
Just that little itty bitty quip. And allegedly that whole thing was just improv because he was like, all right, so how do I bridge the gap between cavemen and Rome?
Yeah, okay. So, do you think the Empire is going to fall, man?
Yeah. Rome was cool. Again, great work with the supporting cast. Fantastic. Mel Gibson, again, another lead in
Wasn't
that
Mel
half.
Gibson in that?
Sorry, not Mel Gibson. Mel Brooks was, again, the lead for that.
I was gonna say, I
for that
fucking
half.
missed Mel Gibson there, apparently.
So did I.
Might have been before his time, too.
No. 81?
What time was
No, Mel Gibson's been around.
Mel Gibson's 70.
Yeah, Mel Gibson's was.
He's old.
He was
and
already
still
he was-
anti-Semitic? Question mark?
So he wouldn't have worked with Mel Brooks anyway.
Or has he seen whatever it was with Jonah Hill, with Kanye?
It's fucking 21 Jump Street. Oh my god, yeah.
Him and
West-
Kanye roasting, broing out to 21 Jump Street.
Kanye
Thanks,
West was-
Jonah Hill.
I guess Mad Max was his first one, 1979.
Sure, that might have been Mel Gibson's first notable role. I was just wondering when he was born,
He was born.
because I know it's not 1981. I'm saying he's
he's
probably
old as
like
fuck.
70. But
Oh man, did you see that terrible film he did where he played the autistic guy?
He is 67. He was born in
Like,
1936.
I was pretty close.
Game over.
so then, after that, again, he takes a little break. He comes back with Spaceballs.
Yeah, Carolina
Which-
sucks anyway.
Is probably the most referenced nerd comedy movie, period.
Probably, yeah.
Trekkies is up there.
Meh.
I'm just saying it's up there in terms of nerd comedy movie references.
I have to argue that's probably Monty Python.
Monty Python is definitely up there. They're probably, I would say that Monty Python as a group is probably the closest thing in terms of combative for just sheer comedic power versus Mel Brooks. Movie for movie. Adam Sandler had his heyday in the 90s, and then after that, no. SNL, depending on
SNL
which.
does not do good movies.
Well,
Most
it depends on the
SNL
movie. It depends on the genre.
They have
sorry,
more
not the
flops than
genre.
they do have hits.
Sure, but they also had a lot of hits with National Lampoon shit.
SNL's National Lampoon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I mean, so.
At the very least, it was all part of their guys.
But what do you consider like actually connected to a skit from SNL or producing people
Like,
that made?
I'm talking about like the
movies?
ones that are like
Like Wayne's World was awesome.
Wayne's World is a good movie, but then you have like It's Pat.
Night at the Roxbury's?
Night at the
Night at
Roxbury's
Roxbury
was
is
good.
a mid movie.
It was okay.
National Lampoon. Again, that was all SNL guys.
What about
Well, yeah, it's SNL
Superstar?
kind
What was that one? Fucking
With Andy Samberg?
no, the
No,
one
no,
she
no,
was like
what's-
Superstar.
Yeah, I know. Will Ferrell's in it too.
Will Ferrell.
Fuck, what was I know what you're talking about. Want to be famous? No.
Yeah, Almost Famous or something.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that one's not bad.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck, I know which one you're talking about. Whatever. Anyway,
But
What's that? Molly Ringwald? Not Molly. Molly.
but
Not Molly Ringwald. What the fuck? Molly.
whatever.
Fuck.
Well, whatever.
yeah. So he ends up doing that. Then he comes back again. Sorry, Spaceballs. Again, it's probably like the most quoted, or definitely in the top
Oh,
five.
it is called Superstar.
It was okay. I was thinking it was called
Molly
Super-
Shannon. There we go. It was
yeah. Okay. Yep. Molly. Okay.
okay, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But Spaceball is definitely one of the most quoted, if not the most
Well, what
quoted,
about
and
the,
nerd approved. Because it was always on G4.
I was gonna say
It was always on Comedy Central.
Airplane.
Airplane, yeah.
The guys
Airplane's
who
up
did,
there.
I'd just have to say the guys who did Airplane are probably.
You're just talking about quotable movies?
I'm talking
Or
about
just
for nerds.
For nerds?
For nerds.
The-
I would say
Zemeckis Brothers? Is it the Zemeckis Brothers I'm thinking of?
What
Because,
about,
like-
What about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
I would not even put that close.
The guys who did that?
I'm not saying that the guys that did that aren't good.
Zucker and Abrams. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm not talking about them not being
just
good.
like
I'm saying
quotable?
like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is not even close to the sheer like quotability and replay
No, but it's
that it got
definitely
for
nerd.
Spaceballs. Yes.
It's definitely a nerd flick.
I'd have to say
I would argue Clerks
Clerks?
is maybe nerd, but that would be more cult.
That's
That's definitely a cult comedy. I wouldn't say that's a nerd comedy. Maybe Office Space.
I'd have to
Again,
say
argues
Office
on the
Space,
code.
nah. That'd be more like an
the
indie
Naked
type.
Gun films.
I don't know if that's nerd or just comedy in general.
Naked Gun's borderline parody stuff too.
Naked
Oh, no,
Gun's
it is.
fucking hilarious though.
It is. Same thing with
Although it is
Airplane.
unfortunate who the second guy is in those movies. O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Although in the first one he keeps getting fucking beat the shit out of, so I guess it kind of works a little bit. The whole thing is he keeps just getting taken, like getting demolished in that film.
But again, I mean, I don't really know of like a.
I mean-
this was meant for nerds. Let's be
I
real.
mean, I'd have to say
That's 100% meant for nerds because
I-
it's a
I have to say
spin-off
in terms
of
of influence,
the biggest
it's
nerdy.
probably gonna have to go to
freaking-
the Zuckers still though, because I mean, look at Family Guy. Family Guy fucking rips the shit out of the Zucker movies constantly.
Well, no, I'm not arguing in terms of influence. I'm saying I would say that Spaceballs is probably like the most quoted, the most known like nerd comedy.
Okay, if we're gonna go just straight nerd comedy, yeah. Duh.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying the whole time.
No, I don't think
we're
that's
talking
what he
about just
said
comedy
once.
movies in general, though.
I don't think he said that at all.
Oh my god.
No, I get it.
But
Weird Science,
Weird Science is up there.
not quotable. I would really think
Not
so.
quotable,
What
and
about Napoleon Dynamite?
I don't consider that nerd. I would say that's
Yeah,
cult.
He's a fucking nerd.
Sure, he's a
Napoleon
nerd,
Dynamite's
but
a
like
fucking nerd.
That doesn't make it a nerd
it wasn't
film.
a nerd film. I would
It's
say
not-
it was
it's
an
like an-
indie cult film that kind of just drew in nerds.
I mean-
it being a nerd thing would be like, all right, this is playing towards like the nerds. D&D. This is
What about like fuck, Animal House? Not Animal House. What the fuck? I guess. Oh yeah, those are the National Lampoon movies.
like yeah. But I mean, we have President Scroob,
Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the
Darth
Nerds.
Helmet. It's just so quotable. John Candy's Barf.
Which, by the way, Revenge of the Nerds is just basically one giant essay movie. It's a sex crime movie. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to lost episode this shit, but that movie does not hold up anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't hold up anymore.
Oh my lord. I mean, yeah, by all means, here you go. Do whatever you want.
But you've been jammed. Comb the Desert?
So when do we get
okay.
to my favorite movie by Mel Brooks?
Is
Which
it?
is
Is it?
Robin Hood Men in Tights, baby.
That's your favorite?
Yes. I love that fucking movie.
Like I said, it might
fucking
be.
love it.
It might be my number one, just because I have so much like time
Dude,
watching
that's
it.
probably for me.
It was my. It was
it's
the
one
first
of my
Mel
fucking
Brooks.
most quotable movies ever.
It was the first
I
Mel Brooks
fucking
film
love
I
quoting that
bought.
movie. Robin, you returned from battle.
I'd have to go with Young Frankenstein now that I think
You
about
lost
it.
your arms, but you
grew
grew
some
some nice
nice boobs.
boobs.
Yeah.
Just supple bosom.
Well, that was in '93, and that was made because of Kevin Costner's Robin Hood.
Because unlike some people, I can have an English accent.
I have an English accent.
Can you pass
A
me a
Jew
thing?
here in England?
He needs a lighter.
Yeah, because you left the thing soaked again.
I don't even do anything to it.
You see the buildup on this shit?
So, if you ain't got no toll, if you don't pay no toll, then I don't get no rolls.
I made it up myself.
You like that? I made it up myself.
I'm on the
Look,
East
this
Bank.
isn't exactly
I'm on
the
West
Mississippi.
Bank. I'm on the East Bank. I'm on the West Bank.
Scarlett
Help,
O'Hara.
help, I can't swim, I can't swim. Meanwhile, it's a
She's
puddle of friggin' water.
I'm from
So-
Georgia.
Pissed
So-
off. If I was that close to a horse's penis, I'd be more worried about being pissed on.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. This is what we're referencing.
Yeah.
1993. Again, it's a parody of Robin Hood, in case you couldn't tell by the name. Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Well, I
We're
mean,
men-
Robin Hood movies.
We're
in
men
general.
in tights.
Again, musical scene.
You've
Because
been had.
When the kid fucking comes running.
at you.
God bless you. Then
Did
gives
you
them-
say Abe Lincoln? No, I didn't say
I said,
Abe Lincoln. I
"Hey,
said
Blinken."
Abe Lincoln.
Which kind of reminds me of.
But he catches
When-
the
Super,
arrow.
super young Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
Like one of
Oh,
his
yeah.
first movie roles.
Oh, yeah.
It's super young.
And he
was the
he
most.
actually, he actually
he ended up being the
credits-
most famous after this.
He actually credits his
Really?
career to being
Yes.
able to get that.
Not Carrie Hughes?
No. Dave
What
Chappelle.
about Richard? What's his name? The guy who plays the fucking Rottingham sheriff of Rottingham. He was pretty big. He was pretty popular too.
Yeah, but I'm saying he ends up becoming the most famous from this.
Yeah.
The Chappelle Show was everywhere in the early
Oh,
2000s.
For sure. I mean, he blew up.
Wait,
He
Richard
fucking-
Lewis?
Yeah, Richard Lewis. Yeah, he was pretty big. He was around.
He
Oh, yeah,
wasn't
he got pretty
bad,
big, too,
yeah,
yeah.
but Dom DeLuise comes back because, as established, Mel Brooks loves using characters that he's used. Dom
Oh, yeah.
DeLuise was Pizza the
But-
Hut.
Gene Wilder
but
had
he's not.
cameos
A
in it.
lot of these
Yeah.
guys do that same thing. I mean, like we broke Kevin Smith. He did that with a lot of his films. He has recurring
Patriot
actors.
Arrow.
Yep.
What about
Yes, it's in the script.
the guy who made
Will
I
Scarlett
Heart
O'Hara?
Puppies?
lost.
I can't
lost.
lose.
I can't lose.
Wait, Patrick Stewart was in it. Patrick Stewart is arguably the biggest person of the whole fucking show.
Patrick Stewart was a cameo. I'm saying, like, out of
Out
the
of, like, an
whole,
actual-
out of the actual like characters.
Yeah, like had a more than a
Main
30
characters, yeah,
second-
no, I get you. I'm just fucking with you.
Because you could say, Mel Brooks was the most popular because he cameos in it.
Yeah. But oh shit, what was that?
Latrine. You changed it to latrine?
To Latrine?
What was it before?
It used to be shithouse.
It used to be shithouse.
It was a
good
good change.
It's a good change.
good
It's a good
change.
change.
Maybe we'll get him drunk. Really? Very drunk.
Very drunk.
I hope this is worth all the noise. He's hiding underneath the table as knights come in to try and capture Robin Hood. And they just clank, 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 clank,
Clank, clank, clank, clank, clank, clank, clank, clank.
I hope this is worth all the noise.
And then he just
Oh my
pushes them
God.
over and they all fall the fuck up.
It's a circumcision. You snip the tip. It makes it look bigger. I'll have one. I'll have one. I'll
have
take
two.
two.
How does it work? So, you put your little thingies in here, and I use this little contraption and shit.
You
He
snip the tip.
Oh my God, such a good movie.
I'm telling you, that's got to be
Here's
one of the
your
most
knife,
quotable. Now that
sword,
we're going
whatever.
through it, come on. Yeah, that
So-
shit's the fucking best.
Yes, I'm not
Yes.
saying it's not one of the most quotable, but I'm saying
I have to prove my point.
no.
I said Blazing
Hold on,
Saddles,
hold
but
on,
we'd
hold
get
on, hold on.
canceled.
Hold on.
Yeah, no, Blazing Saddles is if you want to get
Blazing-
canceled.
If you grew up with Blazing Saddles,
Yes. Yeah.
like that being your childhood,
Well-
I think that one would be your most quotable.
So how about this?
I think if you were a space
You could-
Star Wars fan and grew up with Spaceballs, that's your most quotable. I think
But,
it's
alright.
of your time period.
I guess so. Yeah. But with like Blazing
were-
Saddles,
You
like,
were 11 when Robin Hood came out. Not
But
to
it-
not to dox you,
But no, but like, but
so
like
this
Blazing
was
Saddles,
your comedy movie of your teens.
for sure. But like Blazing Saddles, you're not gonna probably go out and start quoting some of the stuff in everyday life from Blazing Saddles because
I mean, I can use what you want. Care for another Schnitzengruben?
that shit might get you fucking looked at sideways.
Sure, it's harder to quote.
But you could work in a lot of the stuff from Robin Hood Men in Tights. You can quote it
I
anytime.
see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Yeah, so like that's I don't know, that's my opinion on it. But I mean, also I guess you're right. I'm biased because it is a movie that I grew up watching and watched
I'm not saying
1,000 times.
I watched it
Spaceballs.
a
There
billion
goes the
times as well.
galaxy.
I loved that movie. I still have that movie. In fact, you have my copy of it.
Give it back, motherfucker.
But
It's personally chilling in the stack of DVDs.
I'm just saying, like, I think that for quotability, it depends on when you grew up.
Yeah, no, I
And
agree
your
with-
favorite.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
And it's given, as stated by D, the topic of some of the quotes from Blazing Saddles, it's hard to work those into conversation. Spaceballs, it's more of a nerd thing. So
Quicksand.
it's more of a nerd thing. So again, it's hard to work those into. But just generic conversation, Robin Hood. Maybe the producers on a couple things.
producers,
Maybe
yes.
like The Young Frankenstein. Maybe if you actually went out and saw My Life Sucks.
the candle back.
That came out in '91. My Life Sucks. Nobody fucking knew that.
So-
or Dracula Dead and Loving It. Nobody saw that. That's the second biggest flop that he had.
So all right, so
The
now that
Children
we've
of the Night.
It wasn't
like
a bad movie by
Estes
any
to me.
means.
So now,
it just
like-
wasn't a big hit.
we've I don't want to cut you guys off, but I think because Mel Brooks has 70 plus years of entertainment underneath his belt. 70 plus years. That's
Writing,
fucking
producing, directing,
insane.
acting.
So now we've gone through a lot of the earlier stuff. So maybe some of the people that are listening know some of the stuff, and maybe some of the people that are listening don't know some of the stuff. But some of the people that are listening that are a little bit younger, they might recognize the stuff that he's in. If we just go through
As
the
a
list
voice
of
actor.
like. Yes, as a voice actor, or some of the stuff that he might have produced,
He's-
some of the stuff that he might have had a hand in directing.
He's one of the voice actors in Hotel Transylvania. He's the grandfather, Vlad. He voices the grandfather, Vlad, in Hotel Transylvania.
Yes. So, like, just so you guys get an idea, like in
Hit it.
newer movies, Paws of Fury, he's in that.
Voice actor.
Voice actor. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of VA work.
What's
I
a
mean, he
newer-
has an iconic voice. He also produces a lot. He writes a lot, and he, as stated, helps direct some of it. So I mean, he just does an insane amount of stuff. He still has upcoming work, as stated. He is still actively working at 97. Who does that?
He's in Toy Story. He plays a part in Toy Story. Hotel Transylvania, as we said. The movie Leap, he was in that.
What was he in Toy Story?
He played.
It's Toy Story 4, I believe.
Yeah, Toy Story 4. Maleficent? Maleficent?
Elephant elbow. It's an
I haven't
elephant
seen
thing.
fucking Toy Story 4.
He was in one episode of Dora the Explorer. Mr. Peabody and Sherman, he was in that.
The Guardian Brothers.
I don't even think I've seen Toy Story 3.
Underdogs.
Huh.
Robots. He was a voice in that.
He was in
Curb
Spaceballs,
Your-
the animated series.
He was in a couple episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron. He was in an episode of that.
By the way, he is actually like, him and Larry David of Curb Your Enthusiasm. They're like really good friends as well.
Yeah, I believe it. I can see that. Yeah.
Being that they're both like ancient Jews.
Yeah, I would fucking love to smoke a fucking doob with those two.
He was in It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas. sexualized video games violence. He screw loose.
He was in an episode of The Simpsons.
Little Rascals,
Little
The Silence of the
Rascals.
Hams.
To be fair, who wasn't in an episode of Simpsons?
Yeah.
Now?
He's been in so many things.
Look
The
Who's
Tracy
Talking.
Ullman Show,
He was in Look Who's Talking.
the Muppet Movie.
Yeah, Muppet movie. Yep.
He was part of the Electric Company.
It's crazy the stuff.
Wait,
that,
he did the electric company bits?
He was part of it. He was a
Oh,
voice.
that's awesome.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
It has him credited for 780 episodes. So, like, all of them.
Yeah, every one of them. No, he wasn't in them.
He was a voice.
Nah, I'm sorry.
So, no, he wasn't actually in it.
Fuck that shit.
The 12 Chairs.
So yeah, I mean, just so basically the guy, because so
He helped work on Get Smart.
Did
He's
he
got
really?
one of those voices that when you hear it, it's like the prototypical Jewish grandfather.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, like do like it may not have to be necessarily his voice, but like just do the prototypical, like what I would think. you're thinking about.
Yeah. He's a,
Talking about latkes and schmears and
Hey, yes,
the
we got some
soy-
latkes,
the
we got some
seder,
schmears.
and we
It's
gotta
a
go
voice,
to
it's a
temple and
It's a voice. It's a good voice. What do you want from me?
There's something
kinda like that.
similar to that, but that was more on the longer lines of.
That was a little bit more European Jew.
Yeah, that was. I think that was more like
Not a New
Curb.
York Jew.
I think that might have been along the lines of like a Curb, like Larry
I've never
David
actually watched
voice.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's a
It's
good
okay.
show. I enjoy that show.
I like the soundtrack. But he has been in so many things. He is gotta be one of the most influential people.
Yes,
Period.
that's actually what I was thinking about before because he is one of the pioneers, so to speak, of parody. I guess you can kind of say
Them and
earlier.
the Suckers. Him and the Suckers, yeah.
Like
he
they-
was definitely
they-
one of the tour de force for it. Yeah.
So think about all the parody movies, Scream, like all the Scream movies. All
I wouldn't
fu-
consider Scream like parody.
not Scream. Fucking
Scary movies. Those are the Suckers.
The Wayne Brothers.
Those are the Wayne Brothers until Scary Movie 3, in which case
Scary-
it became the Suckers.
Scary
Yeah.
Yeah.
movies are definitely parody movies.
Yeah, but you said Scream.
No, that's scary. That's what I meant.
It's easy to mix them up because
Yeah.
the first one's literally just Scream.
Yeah, that's what.
And
yeah.
this and Scream 1 is kind of like a parody itself.
It's more of a meta.
Yeah.
It's
But yeah,
meta.
so, but even there's so many of them. The parody movie.
Epic movie. Just
Those
all the
fucking
best. Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different parodies. Weird Al Yankovic, he's a fucking parody guy. You know, like that. He had a.
He had an entire music career, still does.
and even some
makes
movies that he
just
made
off-
were parody movies.
Yeah,
Willy
just based
Wonka
off of
doing
it.
the Fergalicious song from what's it called? Still Haunts My Dreams.
Sure.
You don't remember? Was it Epic Film? But they do the fucking Willy Wonka bit in fucking Willy Wonka. It's the guy who, oh my god. And then they go to Narnia because they're trying to hide from Willy Wonka.
Sure.
You saw it with me in theaters. All fucking, I'm sure you don't remember.
Disaster movie? Epic movie? I don't
No,
know.
Disaster Movie is a different movie, but I think it was Epic Film.
Sure. But it just. He literally wrote the book on some of the shit. Like I said, he was one of the first people on TV. Period.
That was Jewish. Oh no! I
No.
mean that.
Literally. Period. He was one of the first people on TV. 1950 is when he started for TV, and that was like I said, one of the first things on TV. Your show's show. It was just nuts.
Sounds like something G4 would play.
Maybe if G4 was in 1950, but
Shout out to a weird dead TV network.
yeah. And the revival and the dead again.
It's because they went. I'm not even going to finish the joke.
They went full woke.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. You okay?
Whatever. What are we gonna do? Get canceled?
I mean, to be fair, Mel Brooks was one of the kind of the first guys who kind of did the whole, like, kind of going woke thing by, like, actually fucking with
But
racism and shit and
I
calling
think
out, like,
I think
like-
where Mel Brooks wins is because he doesn't not pick on anybody, It's like I think when people get canceled, they are actually like targeting one specific, or maybe they say something over the line about, but like usually targeting one specific.
I think another part of it is that he doesn't do it maliciously.
No, he doesn't.
His is meant to show like this was of its time. This is like, hey, these guys are clearly fucked. Like he does it as a observe the idiots.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going to say.
That's what the whole thing that fucking Gene Wilder says to the sheriff in Blazing Saddles. You know, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah. So exactly. So he's not sitting there and saying like, oh well, these guys are racist and look at how righteous they are and look at how correct this is to be this way. He's like, these guys are racist. And we're gonna paint them as idiots because they're racist. They're fucking being. Because
usually
stupid.
fucking racists are fucking morons.
Yeah, exactly.
I know some fucking racists and they're fucking retards.
They're closed-minded fucking morons. That's the only reason why you could be racist. Your mind has to be fucking little. Otherwise, if you can outthink of this stupid bullshit, then there's no reason to be racist about anything.
I mean, there's a difference between making fun of somebody in that type of a sense, like. Coming from where I've worked and some of the people I've worked with, like, and because you've worked with some of them, and then on top of that with the CO thing, I can tell you there's a
especially where you were as a CO, I'm sure.
In North Carolina, oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure some old boys.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it was
stuck in there.
It was a minimum security, but I did have fucking life murderers in there.
Oh yeah.
But
because they were old.
Yes.
But still counts.
They were old law lifers, but oh yeah, no, there's a whole difference between like sitting there like, you know, making jokes with them, and
there's a difference between being malicious and fucking around.
I also think it has a part to do with because a lot of this stuff Mel Brooks kind of laughs at himself. He picks on the Jewish things, he picks on that stuff.
He doesn't just really target anybody else too, yeah.
There's a lot of deprecation, and I think because he's so willing to do that and like laugh at himself, it's like, well, if you can't laugh at yourself, who could you laugh at? And I think because he's so willing to laugh at himself, it's all right for him to kind of poke fun at the other things. That's my personal opinion. I could be fucking wrong.
Even then, working with Richard Pryor, like,
is a notorious like just rude, crude comedian, or was,
and very racially driven too in his comedy. Yeah,
he just.
So like
he was,
it's a lot easier for him to make those jokes.
But I mean, let's face it, because even still, it is
he would have still made him.
It is pure comedy.
Maybe not as good, but he still would have made him.
It is meant to be, a satire. It's supposed to be a play. You know, it's supposed to be fucking funny and uplifting and stuff.
I mean,
but I'm sure there are some people who are like, "Yo, that's some racist shit. Back the fuck off." That's some super racist shit. Don't say that.
You ever want to have some fun? Watch watch people reacting to Blazing Saddles on YouTube for like the first time and shit too. Especially like black. They fucking go wild.
Oh my God.
They fucking think it's great.
Some of them probably love it. You know, and those are probably the same ones who
just
fucking
like the
love
Boondocks.
Just watching their faces drop on like the first.
You know, but
just like the Boondocks too. I mean,
if you could laugh at
tell them I said
So.
Flap.
I think certain times when it comes to comedy, people like to laugh at stuff that doesn't pertain to them, something that doesn't hit home to them, something that they don't find that might knock them down a peg or whatever.
50% of my humor is self-deprecating.
So I think that's why there's a lot of stuff that's lost in comedy.
There's a lot of stuff lost in comedy.
The problem is with comedy is you have to be willing as much to laugh at yourself as you are to laugh at others.
Yeah. And that...
I mean, most comedians are some of the most depressed people in the world if you actually talk to them, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at Robin Williams.
Robin Williams fucking...
One of the best examples.
Allegedly, supposedly that might have been because he had some sort of really degenerative disease, too. That's the other alleged rumor. He had been diagnosed with like a degenerative disease and didn't want to suffer through it. That's one of the alleged rumors about it. I don't know.
Okay, well, the official release was that he killed himself.
It was suicide, yes. The reason why he did it, though,
varies,
Yes.
but it's it's thought of as being, he was depressed, things like that.
But yeah, no, a lot of comedians are notorious for being very depressed and
Yeah.
Depressed.
Chris Farley, he fucking hated himself and fucking
John Candy.
yeah.
I mean, John Belushi.
Jim Belushi.
There's a reason why so many of them turn to drugs.
oh yeah, fucking drugs is that's killed a lot of them too, even in general.
Drugs, alcohol,
What's
food.
his what was his name? The one who he has the giant nose now because he fucked it up doing so much cocaine. Oh, fuck is his name?
I don't know. Artie
Is
Lang.
it John Can? Yeah, I think it might be Artie Lang. He was in the guy. Yeah, I think because he was in Mad TV, the guy from Mad TV.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, those are the
He
guys.
played he did the Kenny Loggins bit.
Oh,
I think it was Artie Lang. Yeah.
no. Kenny Loggins? I thought that was Will Caliendo. Frank something, maybe?
Frank Caliendo?
Yeah, Frank Caliendo. But
No, that guy wasn't even around for that long.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is Artie Lang. Yeah, dude, he fucked up his nose and it's massive now from coke or some shit.
Oh shit, I haven't seen that dude in forever. Yeah, that guy's
Yeah, he
fucking
does
weird
radio
looking.
shows with Howard Stern now and
Yeah,
everything.
He used to be on Howard Stern. That's pretty much where he got his start.
But
Yeah, then he did SNL.
Yeah, I remember him
No, Matt
telling
TV,
this
yeah,
story
Matt
on
TV,
Howard
sorry.
Stern, which Artie Lang, if you're listening to me, please fucking finish the story for me because I need to know. He fucking took a shit in one of the fucking bathrooms at the Howard Stern studio, and he had this thing where somehow he would make it so that he leave the shit for people to see it, but he didn't have any toilet paper. He wouldn't leave any toilet paper. And he's like, oh yeah, there's a way to do that. Now, I want to hear what the fuck he's talking about because
being able to take a shit, leave it, and not wipe?
I guess whatever he did with the toilet paper after he fucking.
Well, he could have either bagged it up and taken it with him, put it in the toilet hidden.
What, like the top shelf?
I mean,
The toilet paper itself?
not the toilet, in the fuck is it? The
There was nothing on the roll. The
trash
roll was
bin,
gone.
Trash bin. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Whatever. I didn't get to hear the
I
story.
used to know a guy who would take phantom dumps like that, and he would wipe his ass and then take the toilet paper and
Yeah,
burn
go
it in the
shit.
and he would burn it in the fire pit for when he was making a fire for his family, and then he just leave the dump for people to find, just in the toilet, without any fucking toilet paper. So,
Maybe he burnt it.
no, yeah, I just said he would wipe his ass with the toilet paper and then burn it.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe-
Maybe that's what Artie Lang did.
I don't know, but
I don't know. Whatever. Either way, we digress.
Mel Brooks. Like I said, probably one of the most influential people, period, in terms of just entertainment, if not the most for a single person.
I mean, yeah, he pretty much shaped. I mean,
I would say
modern
that
comedy. Him and
I would say that there are others for voice acting and animation. Mel Blanc would be one of
voice
the
acting,
people.
yeah,
Would be
And
one of
Tommy
the
voices.
one of the pioneers of that.
Did you ever hear the Mel Brooks
Hanna Barbera, Walt Disney, things like that. But I feel like he's done more, at least more influential.
Done more than Walt Disney? That's a bold statement, homie.
In terms of influence, I think arguably.
Okay, are we trying to find Walt Disney himself or Walt Disney the company? Because there's a difference there. Because Walt Disney's been dead for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
But just fucking lost.
George
my-
Orwell?
Wait.
Orville Redenbacher?
I mean, you could get into authors per se, particularly older authors and other sort. But in terms of modern comedy and stuff and filmmaking,
As
probably,
a single
yeah.
person, I would say it's got to be him.
He's up there, yeah.
Especially since he's still doing it.
I mean,
Longevity, length, and all that is just.
for what I mean,
Influence?
for entertainment, yes, but in terms of other things, you could argue there's scientists and shit, and
Yeah. Totally different spectrum.
Yeah, but in terms of entertainment, yes, he is probably one of the most. He's probably one of the most influential characters in entertainment. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's easy also to give him that title because
He's an
as you said,
EGOT.
he was one of the first people on TV.
Yeah.
So if you're one of the first to do it, then how else would anybody else know
The
about
producers,
it?
the play is still
That's
actively
like,
ongoing.
That's like saying
Is it
trying to
really?
argue that the Beatles isn't one of the most influential,
Music groups of all time.
groups of all time. Some people are gonna be like, no, that's not fucking fuck the Beatles. You know, that shit's fucking. There are people that say that they're fucking crazy.
I don't say fuck the Beatles. I just simply say they aren't my taste really anymore. Also, fuck John Lennon.
That's
John,
what I mean.
John Lennon's not okay. Can we just John Lennon, while being a good musician and an influential musician, I'll give him that, was a fucking shitty person in real life. I mean, he was well known for abusing the shit out of his first wife and kid and everything.
Yeah,
He was
a
a
womanizer.
fucking commie. I don't fucking like comp, but that's a different story. You know, and then Yoko Ono's a fucking piece of work too. But
Mel Brooks. We digress.
yeah,
So, I think we're gonna end it at the part of
fuck John Lennon.
fuck John Lennon, and Mel Brooks is just one of the most influential of all time.
I'm just gonna say to you, man, just let it be.
Good night, people.
Good night.
Peace, all.